Welcome to the Women's Football Show here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Kerry Paul. Cara Henderson and Motherwell manager Paul Brownlie joins us here today. The SPFL took some more twists and turns at the weekend. Let's have a look at the table to see how things are shaping up. Rangers remain out in front, closely followed by Glasgow City after the two sides drew on Saturday afternoon. Hearts slip into third, Hibernian are on their heels. The 120 points at Celtic. Motherwell move into the top six, Partick, Thistle in seventh. Spartans are tucked in behind. Aberdeen, Montrose, Queen's Park and Dundee United make up the bottom section of the table. Paul, let's start with Saturday afternoon then. What did you think of the two sides? Was a draw a fair result?
Probably a game of two halves. I thought first half Glasgow City were good. And some more opportunities, Jenna Fife makes an unbelievable save towards the end of the first half and they actually could have come in with a 2-goal lead. I think the big change in the game was at half time with Kirsty McLean. I thought she made a big difference to Rangers in terms of the level of composure she gave them second half, and she's a top player and she actually drove Rangers forward and she was a standout. I actually thought Cathy Hill was excellent in the game as well. I thought she was really good, couple of good recovery runs in there as well, but on reflection, Paul, a draw was a fair result when you look at the chances City had. Even the second half, Rangers have got a great chance, minutes after they get the equaliser to go in front. So, I think both managers will be relatively happy with a point.
Cara, was it fair to say that most were probably expecting Rangers to win 3 points that day, considering when you look at their results the past couple of weeks?
I think so. I think it's more because Rangers have been so clinical that they've put more goals past teams than City have. But I don't actually think you can diss City's start to the league as well. They've done the business against Hearts. They got a point against Celtic, they've got a point against Rangers, they're in second. I think that probably because of last season you just expect it to be Rangers and Celtic to run away because of the financial more financial availabilities they've got. But I think that Glasgow City have had a really strong start to the season. They've done their business quietly, they did really good business in terms of their signings in the summer as well, so I think they'll be delighted. And actually I agree, I think that probably there'll be a part of Leanne that thought that was such a strong first half. To not go in with a 2-goal lead and to not see the game out, she'll probably be disappointed.
Do you think, Paul, there'll be more results like that between the top three and possibly as Hibs and Hearts are creeping up as well?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of twists and turns to go, even the results yesterday as well, and no surprise by the Hearts beating Celtic. I think Hearts coming up against them, I'm sure Carol agreed, Hearts are a top side.
Absolutely.
Top side, and Hibs are no far behind them either, so it's going to be really competitive between that five, and there's still a lot of games to go and the games against each other, but there'll be plenty of twists and turns between now and the end of the season.
Jo Potter certainly agrees with you. She thinks it's going to be a top 5 battle this year.
I don't think it'll be a top 3. I've said I think that Hearts and Hibs will have a lot more to say in it. You see Hibs have drawn against Celtic already. We managed to beat Hearts, so we've done that one. We need to make sure that we're beating Hibs next week. I don't think it's going to be as clear cut as what it has been and so far away. We were quite a heavy distance away from City last year. It kind of became a top 2. I don't see there being a top 2 or a top 3. I think it'll be like a 5. So I think that'll be healthy for the league. I think it makes these results less detrimental because I think these will happen a lot more throughout the season. And I think we've got to be realistic in that. We've got to expect it. It's going to be better for the league and better for us playing more better games week in and week out. So, it's important for the league that teams are having more of a say on the title race, and I think that will definitely happen this year.
Is that a mentality reminder, Paul, for players that when you come up against any team in the league, it could go one way or another? It's not just a Celtic or a Glasgow City you really have to worry about.
I think every game, every coach will prepare as best they possibly can, regardless of the opposition, and I think that's where even the resource that we have available in terms of being a head coach and the level of preparation, the level of detail that we have to get into and make sure that regardless if it's Glasgow City, Celtic, Rangers, Hibs, Hearts, the preparation is still the same regardless, because there's a lot of good teams in the league. And as we speak about the movement between the top 5, there's that movement underneath that between 6 to 12 and I listened to some managers yesterday speak about that, and I think for me it's like, nobody's safe, and that the mentality is one game at a time, and I think that has to be the drive and determination for coaches, for players that try to make sure that you can have that status next year of being a Premier League team is going to be really important, because 3 teams go down this year as well. So I stress heavily every week to my players in terms of the preparation, the detail that we have to get into, and obviously how we train and how we play, and I think that's something that will be consistent across the board.
Is that the same for a player, Cara?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously Joe spoke there. I think that it is really good for the league that it's competitive, but she forgets, you know, a season ago you guys took points off of Celtic, we took points off of Rangers last year. Like, I actually don't think you can turn your back against any of the teams as well, and I think as a player it has got to be your mentality, because if you go in playing any of the top 5 thinking, you know, let's just go and try our best today. I mean, what's the point in being in the top SWPL 1? So I think that it is a mentality thing, and I think that you've got to prepare, and I think that the top teams have to prepare as well, because one slip up we saw last year, it affects the league. You know, end up if Rangers don't drop points to us, they drop points to Hearts, they probably win the league quite comfortably, but they don't, and it goes down to goal difference. So I think that it's a mentality thing that you can't ever not think that you're in for a tough game wherever you play.
Yeah, well, Leanne Ross certainly said her side were well and ready for the wrath that is Rangers' front line.
Yeah, and listen, we've been good defensively as well at the start of the season, but we're respectful coming here to play Rangers. We know that they've scored however many goals already this season. They're a free scoring team, they create a lot of chances, so if you come here and you don't respect that, then you go and you're punished. So we had to set up to make sure that we were secure first and foremost, and then on the flip side, when we're in possession, go and exploit what we think are the weaknesses within their defensive structure as well.
Cara, then let's move on to Hearts against Celtic. Paul said he's not surprised that Hearts took 3 points. Did Champions League maybe have a bit of a bearing on that result?
I think it's really hard. I think that, I mean, obviously they played on Tuesday, so they had more time to recover, and they were obviously later yesterday. I think it's tough though, because it's such a great achievement for them to be in the Champions League, and I probably think against FC20 they thought that was maybe their best chance at home to get something from the group they're in. But I think that it comes down to how you prioritise, and I mean, Paul will know better because he's the manager, but I don't know, like, do you prioritise the Champions League, do you prioritise the league? Because the way they're sitting, they've obviously got a game in hand, but you don't want to let too big of a gap open up. It's really tough, but I feel for them in two senses, because you want to have the best goal in the Champions League, but then of course, you know, they've played I think Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday, Sunday for a few weeks now, so that's obviously going to take a toll as well.
How do you plan for that, Paul, if you were in Elena Sadiku's shoes? Do you put more of your eggs in the Champions League basket, or how do you balance it?
I think for me, a club like Celtic, the mentality is one game at a time, regardless. You know, they'll be desperate to win every game. I think for me, you know, you look at the size of the squad they've got as well, and obviously they recruited well towards the end of the window as well. So I think in terms of the squad that they have, it's a squad that can compete in every single competition. I know the mentality will be they're desperate to win every single game. So, but yesterday we're sorrying for them. You know, I'd listened to Elena's comments after the game yesterday, and you could see, you know, with her emotions in the game, that she was really disappointment. Was there a bit of hangover from the Champions League game? Possibly, but you know, Celtic, you know, have still aspirations to obviously retain the league title. So yesterday we were a real sorrying for them.
And Kayla Jordan obviously netting the decisive goal. A former player of yours?
Yeah, no, listen, I was delighted when I seen it, and actually I bumped into her at the Celtic Rangers game at Broadwood on the Thursday night as well, and she's been doing well. She's somebody that, you know, I think can get her game to the next level. She gets herself in that full-time environment as well, which is fantastic for her as a young player.
And just on the comments, Cara, that Elena Sadiku had made, she said it's the worst that she's seen Celtic. As a player, how do you look at that? Do you look at, okay, fair enough, she's right, or how would you look at that if you were a player?
I think obviously the first thing you do as a player when you get a result like that is you do look within and you look and think, what could I have done better? Were there moments in the game that were crucial? I think that she's probably saying it to get some sort of reaction from her squad as well. And to be honest, it is a sore one for them to take, because we've spoke how important these games can be come the end of the season. But I think as a player, they'll know themselves that wasn't ideal. I really don't think they'll need to be told that they think that wasn't really to the standards required. And I think now, though, it's the most important thing is how do they bounce back from that. You know, they've got a tough game coming up midweek, and then it's how do you react to that. I know, and it's like you're in the Champions League. That's a really hard place to react, but how do you bounce back as a player? And to be fair, the next game is always the most important one.
Absolutely, Paul. Motherwell 4, Dundee United 1. Pleased with that victory overall?
Yeah, delighted with the performance, both collectively as a team and individually as well. So, no, we knew yesterday would be tough. But I was delighted to get the 3 points first and foremost.
Had a bit of a sticky patch earlier on in the season, but are you happy with the direction the team's going now?
Yeah, in the main, yeah, it's been good. I think that, you know, we've tried to show that wee bit of consistency in the teams round about us. I think we've done that really well. Next Sunday we go to Aberdeen, which we'll finish that first round of fixtures. So the aim will be 3 points there, and you know, it's really important. But they probably let ourselves down in the games against the teams above us. I thought last Sunday against Rangers, especially, I thought they were magnificent the game, considering we lose the game 2-0, and I always think in these games there's a way to lose them, you know. But I was really happy with how we've done tactically in the game, and probably let's try to create that recipe how you can compete in these games, you know, and that's where for us as coaches we need to be creative in terms of, you know, our game plan in these games as well, and how we can almost bridge the gap. But we understand, you know, where we're at, and I think certainly for us, and you know, it's the status of being an SWPL team is crucial for us as a football club, and we're desperate to be there, and that will continue to be the focus for us. But no, I think for us it's like we want to compete in these games against the top teams.
You said there once you play Aberdeen, that's the first round done. Is that when do you reassess things then? Do you look at how you could have done better against each team?
Yeah, listen, it's that constant assessment. You know, weekly we analyse our performance every single game, look at aspects of the game where we want to improve. You know, myself and my staff group love working with these players on the pitch to try and make them better and get them to the next level, both collectively but also as a team as well. So the games have been challenging. Every game brings a new challenge. So, but in the main, it's been good. Yeah, we had a target. We're probably not far off where we wanted to be. Well, let's obviously come next Sunday. We'll wait and see how that game goes against Aberdeen. But no, in the main, it's been really positive.
Yeah, fantastic. Cara, point of piece in your game against Montrose, the manager Brian Graham says you really have to fight to get into that top six. The team have done it in the last 2 years. It's not been going your way in the last couple of weeks. How do you change things?
I think you've got to look at ourselves as a group of players. I think that, you know, going to Montrose, it's a really tough place to go, and I think I sat on the sofa here and said that, you know, we're playing Montrose and Queen's Park. The aim is definitely to get 6 points, but you need to go and earn that. You need to go and play well. You need to do the job, and you need to do it. You can't just turn up and think I'm going to get 3 points or whatever. So I think that we look at the performance yesterday, and I think we're not happy as a team again. I think there's been a few performances like that, and I think that we need to pull together. You know, we've got a great group of girls in there. I'm not concerned, and I don't think that we're not really trying. I think that it needs to click, and I think it will. But it's about, you know, working as hard as we can on the training pitch, off the pitch as well. And I'm sure that if we do that, then, you know, the sort of form that we've had will correct itself.
It might be a similar circumstance for a lot of teams in the league when they go through some rough patches, but just how important is experience in a squad?
Yeah, I think it is really, you know, for different points of the season. I think that you need experience when it gets tough. I think you also need experience when you're playing really well, because you need to. Brian always says, you know, there's highs and there's lows, but actually the place you want to be is in the middle, because you can get carried away at both extremes. So I think that experience is really important. We've got that. The thing is, we've got experience of playing. We've got players in the team that played in the SWPL 2. We've got players that have played in, you know, the cup final top 6 for the past couple of years. So it's about finding that middle ground, and I think that that's what happens when you get to training, when you get to analysis, and you do that. And I think that, as I said, as long as we, you know, strip it back and do the very basics right, then you give yourself the best chance for anything. Yeah,
absolutely. Spartans 0, Hibernian 4, another victory for Grant Scott's side. We talk about Hearts maybe being the dominant force in the capital, Paul, but Hibs have shown that they can show up against Celtic, and they've got Rangers next. Yeah,
talented group. You know, a good manager with a talented group in there. Again, another team in that full-time environment, and then, you know, I know Hibs would have been disappointed with that result they had that night, and I'm sure they'll respond. You know, some good players in there as well. So, you know, Hibs will still have a lot to say. Hibs will still have a lot to say in this.
Absolutely, it's just those derby games as well, Cara, add a little bit of excitement to the league when we come up against them.
For sure. I think it goes back to what Joe Potter said. I don't think it necessarily is a top 5 that dictates what happens, but I do think that you want it to be as competitive as it can, because it captures. So, you know, Hearts' result yesterday, that really throws a spanner into the works, and it's good for the neutral looking in, and it, you know, is better for the league that it's competitive. And I think that if Hearts and Hibs can have some, you know, really good, because I think probably wrongly we all sort of expected it to, you know, at Easter Road we expected it to be much tighter, and Hearts blew them out of the water. So it makes it much more exciting that they're as close as they are as well. And I think as well with all the different, you know, the funding that they've got, it makes it really interesting. They're both properly full-time experience that for a few years now. It's really interesting to see how it all shakes down.
Absolutely. Before we finish up, Paul, a star player of the week, is anybody that stood out to you, not from Motherwell? Just to make it a bit more interesting.
Listen, I was so delighted to a couple of my ex-players. I've seen Kayla Jardine scored a winner yesterday, but also watched Amy Anderson on Saturday in the game at Ibrox, and I thought, you know, first half especially, I thought Amy was excellent. So, and I think we've seen that, you know, consistently recently with so many players, Emma Lawton as well, and Morgan Cross have made the transition. So I think it shows that the good work that's going on within the league. I think it also shows that there's good young Scottish players there that can make the transition into full-time football, and it's something we speak to our players about a lot, is, you know, that aim and their goals, and, you know, and to get to the next level, and how that next level looks for every single player is completely different. I'm sure there's more players, certainly ourselves at Motherwell and Partick Thistle, there's players in their aspirations to get to the next level. So I probably not really answered you there in terms of how this player is, but I think for me it's just seeing that opportunity that's now been created within the league. you know, for players to get to the next level is fantastic for them as well, and I'm sure there's going to be more players that will get there. But no, it's great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on behalf of myself, Cara and Paul, thanks for listening and thanks for watching.